there has been much talk on the internet about the double-bladed sword. I think this whole concept really came into popularity about the time of the Phantom Menace because Darth Maul is really cool looking. He got like one line and he died immediately, but it was
maybe
undeniably,
because he had a double-bladed sword.
But he was undeniably cool. Now, the cool thing about Darth Maul's sword is it could turn off one side and be a normal sword, and then turn into a staff. And I feel like that's pretty useful, especially from something that can cut from any side. Still not as useful as a lightsaber. But this is also in fantasy, and there's much talk of it, like I said, on YouTube. Now, other people have done videos on this, but we're gonna come at this from the from the viewpoint of a fencer, of people who actually do this and fight with these things. And my take on this is inherently worse than just a normal sword. And the main reason I say this is because this is versatile. I can guard anywhere, I can get across my body, I can attack from any angle, I can put the sword in front of my body and elongate it, and I can't do any of those things with a double-bladed sword. With a double-bladed sword, I am restricted to guarding one side of myself or switching all the way around my leg to guard the other side of myself. I can never go to a true full long point. And I can't do anything that circles the body like this. You can't do your zerks unless you put it above your head.
Which, I mean, that's where I zerk from anyway.
But you have to start from there. So you have to start here and then go. You can't throw it from a good angle. I mean,
maybe.
So I'm gonna be, I am firmly in the this is not a good idea camp. Clark, I think you still agree that it's not a great idea, but you think it has more potential than I do.
Yeah, I don't think that it's better than just having a sword, but I think there are things you can do with it that would be effective. The main thing is the concept of if I have to change the way I fight to accommodate this, is it better?
I don't know, I just feel like because of the restrictedness, so the idea of a double-bladed sword being good is that you can attack from two angles quickly, right?
Yeah.
So you could attack me one side and then the other, but boom, boom. Just, the problem with it is you can't attack it twice at once. With two different, with like a rapier and dagger, you could go from two sides. With this, it's very easy to tell if his sword comes this way, the other sword must go that way. I know, like if he attacks there and he tries to attack somewhere else, I know where it's coming from because they're tied together, right? With this, I mean, I think I can do feints better. I think I can change lines better.
Well, because feints was, like feint. No, I mean, I guess it's a little slightly faster feint.
But I know where it's coming from.
Yeah,
like,
but it's
I'm just tracking both blades.
We'll try it with live steel.
Yeah, we'll try. We're gonna sense this. Don't worry. This is just the preamble to us actually fighting with this. So give me some positives.
So I think one thing that might be helpful with this is that additional speed. Because usually, if I have one sword and I cut from here and then I rotate, it's hard.
Yeah.
If I have a normal sword, it is really quick that I can cut here, then cut here. I can do all these things really quickly. Yeah. What I'm curious about is how much faster, if any faster, is going from here to here, and how much useful. Because if I can draw your guard out, this might not be great in first intentions, but I think in second, third, and fourth intentions, this might be faster overall. Because that's how you win those drawn out bouts. Is just 3, 4. Eventually, if you can outspeed. So
you think you can out-intention somebody?
Yeah, if they outspeed your opponent, out-tempo them, because this is a way to steal tempo.
Yeah.
Because if I steal half a tempo there, if I steal half a tempo every tempo,
I could see this working really well against a very inexperienced fencer.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to be able to understand that it's tied together. Like, even it's funny, in the Star Wars Extended Universe books, they talk about how the double-bladed lightsaber is actually less efficient, but it confuses people because they think there are more options, there's actually less options. Now, I want to say another thing about this. So with a long sword or any kind of sword, the idea is kind of, to a certain extent, distance, right? I can put you at the end of this. And the idea with this sword is actually, it diminishes your distance, but unlike something like a spear, where you could grab it at the back, you really don't.
This isn't gonna work.
No, it's not gonna work. Like, yes, you can half sword, but this is not a good idea. No. Even grabbing one blade and the other like this, I still don't think it would be any better than a sword. I don't think you have any more distance than me.
Yeah.
No more maneuverability. And the other problem about this is your hands are more exposed, in my opinion.
This is one thing that I think theoretically, if you custom built a sword for this purpose, you just put a knuckle bow there.
Maybe.
So I think it has
You'd
value.
be a lot trapped. You'd be more trapped.
The hands are more exposed, but I think that if you just put a knuckle bow here, that wouldn't be as big of a problem.
I could see it.
But
I don't know.
That also is the argument of historically really complicated things that take more money and more effort weren't done just because why would you use twice the amount of steel to connect all this when you can make one sword that's just about as good or better and uses half the steel, it's easier,
also,
cheaper.
Could you imagine carrying this thing around?
This would have to be in the same camp as like great swords where this wouldn't be a sidearm. This would be like a polearm, battlefield, and at that point just get a halberd.
Yeah.
So that's also true. These were sidearms.
Yeah.
You can't go around walking around town.
Yeah, so this is less effective than a spear, and it's more, so this is nice because it's convenient. Straps to your hip, you walk around
If
town.
it was a lightsaber, that'd be easy.
Yeah, if it's a lightsaber,
turn it off and hang
yeah,
it.
Also you could just turn off one blade and then you have a normal sword.
Yeah,
You know, and then
more options are always better, right?
More options are always better. But again, the reason that we decided to do this video is because we can actually fence with this and give you some insights that other people might not be able to. So let's do that.
Let's do that.
All right, so we're gonna do some fencing, double-bladed sword versus single, and a couple of caveats here. Obviously, I am poor, and I can't get a custom double-handed sword made. So if you want to see us do this experiment with a custom sword, donate to our Patreon. But this sword is significantly heavier than this sword is, because it's 2 swords, so it's like 6 pounds instead of 3. But yeah, here we go.
I feel like you did, but I think I suppressed it enough.
So all I have to do is get under that one.
Is there?
It's the same reverse grip.
Well, I wanted to. I had you set up perfectly.
No, but I had it leveraged.
But I was locked.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
So as soon as I found that out, it's the same problem with reverse grip. It's that you have one sort of reverse grip all the time. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I got you.
But I couldn't bend that guy.
You didn't get me, but at the cost of yeah. So here's a caveat here. Clark is a much better fencer than me, so you should have done better. Now we're gonna see how badly I do.
That would work.
The only thing I can find is a doubly thing. The only thing I can find is what I can do is I can charge over the thread here, and then come under, but then I'm exposed.
The head.
Yeah. Yeah, I got my hand up. Got my hand.
Yeah.
I don't think I could have continued that strike.
That's fair.
I think a lot of the ones that were happening with you too was like a hand tag and then you continued.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm not saying it's not, it was a double, but it's one of those doubles where like, when did it work in real life?
Yeah. And that one was flat, but I missed that too.
Yeah, you did. This is coming apart.
Oh yeah, that was a bit off.
Yeah, okay, let's dissect those results.
Conclusions.
Conclusions. So, as a caveat, we kind of mentioned this when we were fencing. We'll go over it again. Clark is a much better fencer than me, just plain and simple. So, you know, when we fence, usually Clark's getting more hits and he's not doubling. Was there even a single hit in there where you didn't double me?
So there were a couple, but all the ones that I got were using just this sword like a normal sword.
Yeah.
I wasn't employing this.
No, so it hindered you, if anything.
There was one or two that, I think there was like maybe two, where you came in here and I got the parry, and instead of coming this way, I could come up, but
they were kind of weird. Like the two, I know the two you were talking about, and they kind of skimmed off with not much power to the body.
Because part of the problem is it came in, it was a scallopy cut.
Yeah.
Because I'm over here guarding with a cross.
Yeah.
And that means my blade, I have to unwind the cross away, because I think maybe if they were
I remember you hit me with the back end 1 or 2 times, and those hits generally were to the body because you were close.
Yeah.
Or they were like ricocheting off, and yeah, they would have hurt, but nowhere near as effective as if you hit me with proper cut in proper distance.
The problem mechanically is if I want to guard with the cross guard like this, as you should, because when you parry, you want your cross guard like this. If I get a cut here, I have to wind around like this.
Well, and it comes back to our argument before about reverse grip. You are essentially fencing with one sword in reverse grip, and we already know that it's just not a very good grip. So all of the cuts you throw from it are mechanically disadvantageous. The times you did get me with the back end were usually, and I found this too, what I could do is I could threaten in reverse grip, and then you would try and do something about it, and because I had another sword, I could wait for you to do it and then snipe you. Every single hit we got with this was some sort of deceptive tactic, and that would work against somebody who wasn't experienced, who had never experienced this before. So like, if you were only ever fighting and like a person who had never faced this before, you would have like a roll of the dice, 50-56 cents chance of confusing them. But because you were a better fencer than me, and because I'm not a double defenser, I'm really not a double defenser. The fact that you and I doubled so often, it means that this is a really bad tool.
I think part of the problem is also, first, all those really deceptive rangey things you can do just as effectively with one sword. So this didn't really add anything. And what, two interesting things, this got in the way a lot.
Oh, a lot.
Because I'd try and do like a thrust here.
And well, what I found is you did that, and I could get up under it.
I can't use the other one.
So there's a couple times, and you know, again, I shouldn't be able to get this over on Clark, but like, do that again. If he's there, all I have to do is find this.
And now I'm
any
totally
situation where I can get underneath this sword, and this is the same problem with reverse grip. Any situation, he's screwed, and his arms are up there. I can do whatever I want to. We got into a grappling situation, and he couldn't hit me very well, and I was pummel striking.
I was trying to hit you with like this, but I couldn't even, because I couldn't even wrap
and I
around
on the other side, and I wasn't very strong.
Usually with the sword, you can rotate it all the way up.
Exactly.
This is too heavy to really do that.
When I had my turn on this, I didn't double you. Any hit I got on you was a double. But you got so many hits on me.
Not even hand hits.
You got some hand hits.
We did get some hand slams, but I didn't try and abuse that, because theoretically, if you had a knuckle bow here,
he was being nice.
that wouldn't really be as big of a deal.
I just don't think you'd put a knuckle bow there, if I'm honest.
I think if this was going to be a real thing, you'd have to.
It'd make it so you couldn't rotate it.
You have to.
Yeah, but
your hands are too exposed.
But then you're losing any thumb grip.
Because, well, I didn't even really use thumb grip that much, because the way the thumb grip works,
you got to be able to switch it back.
They're all in this angles, which you can't use because you'll hit yourself. So you have to hold it in handshake to do this. If you're holding it in thumb, all these weird offline hits doesn't really work as well.
So, do we miss anything in our analysis?
One thing I also noticed when you had this is I wasn't scared.
No, exactly.
I wasn't scared.
I wasn't scared of you. Like, my thing on it was I could keep distance with you all day. There was a little bit of a problem because we don't have a wide area here, so I had to kind of stay on camera and try and attack you. But like, if I was actually fighting you with this, I would wait for you to wear yourself out.
Yeah, it wasn't scary.
Oh, I'd wait for you to wear yourself out because I could see how bad you were struggling. I'd let you swing at me. I'd stay in distance, and then I'd wait for you to be bored. I don't want to bore the viewers like that, but
another big problem
for you to be tired, that is
when you swap from offense with this to offense with this. Every time you tried it, I just
pick the hands part.
Not even the hands. I went through to your head. Because if you attack here, your sword isn't protecting you this whole time. So from here to here, I'm open. And when we're in Krieg,
that's how I got your hands a lot.
When we're in Krieg, a straight line thrust is faster than this.
And you can't thrust with this. Like you got no thrusts.
Well, every thrust I got was not great.
I don't think you got any.
And there was all the ones like we were like third intention coming around. I may have got, but like they were.
It was at a weird angle, slipping off the side.
Yeah, I don't know
a good solid thrust is when we're angled like this or like this, and neither one of us got a single thrust with a sword that is specifically like 50% thrusting.
See, what was interesting is I thought the thrust would work a lot better, but the reason, if we swap, the reason thrusts with longswords work is because if I thrust here, I can wind.
Yeah, and you can't.
With this, you can't do it.
You can't.
So if I do a thrust and you do anything, I can't I could maybe come around here.
But I've got that so easy here.
At the same time, at speed, when I do this, you hit me right here.
Yeah, I do.
Because I'm undefended. The whole reason,
if I had to sum this up, what I would say is this isn't good because it takes away your ability to thrust. It takes away your ability to change guards quickly. It's too heavy. It makes it so all the angles of attack are difficult. You can't swap between defense on one side to the other. And if we look back at the fundamental argument we had about reverse grip, you're essentially strapping a useless technique to a good technique for the chance that it might surprise somebody. So it's essentially what you're doing is you're making it easier for you to be a double machine. So if you wanted to give a bunch of suicide fighters this, who were just gonna go out and like kill the enemy at the expense of their own lives, then this might be effective.
I mean, at that point, a normal sword is just as fine.
Yeah, honestly.
If I could, I think,
or an axe.
If we custom made this, the things I'd change is if you could probably shave off about a pound or so of steel. So instead of being 6 pounds, it'd be like 4 or 5, which isn't horrible. Not great, but not horrible. I'd add a knuckle bow here. What I'd also do is I'd make this blade, the top blade, longer than the bottom blade. Because a lot of the times is when I'd commit here, I would just, because I was actually shorter, I couldn't hold my hands out.
What I would say with that though is now you run the risk of getting stabbed on your own blade. If anything goes wrong, goes wrong.
I wouldn't make it like short. I'd probably make it this long and take this weight and add it and add it here. I think that'd improve it a little bit.
But the fundamental problem with this is why wouldn't you just get a spear?
Yeah.
It's already long enough to essentially be a short spear.
See, that's the big problem with this, is this isn't a sidearm, so it's already outside the category of swords.
This
and it's not better than a Montante
this has no place in an armory. Because if you want a long sword, Montantes exist and they're more useful. If you want a long pokey thing, get a spear. If you want something you can carry around town, this isn't gonna do that. So this is literally just a weird niche, like not even niche, it's just it's a fantasy item.
That said, if this was a lightsaber and it was a pound and I could turn it
and it could cut from any angle?
At that point, sure.
Yeah, like if it's a lightsaber and you can turn one side off and then cut from any angle, just purely the element of surprise, of being able to bop, turn them on and off and do whatever you wanted to, yeah, I'd say go for it because you still have a functional sword on one end with just a longer hilt, and that's fine.
Yeah.
So with a lightsaber, sure. Yes, with a lightsaber, double-bladed lightsaber works because you can turn one side off.
Yeah.
But with a sword, it's not useful.
The biggest problem was just that you couldn't offend, you had no passive defense. Every time you use this, you were exposed, and that was the biggest problem was that.
So I think the problem that we see when people are trying to justify this is they do test cuts on inanimate objects, or they spar with foam, or
I see a lot of, I can do a cut.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if that doesn't work.
But that doesn't work because I've got a sword too.
And then I'm screwed.
And then you're screwed because you can't follow
even
through.
if I hit you, I'm screwed.
Yeah, because like, and here's the other thing, right? This
is defensive.
The other thing is like, if, let's say he did make a cut, make a cut somewhere and hit, you could stop the afterblow with a normal sword.
Yeah, I could bam.
And you could do that here, but do the other way, when you're cutting up. Like, you could,
here?
Like you get a tag hit to the base. Sure, now could you parry? Can you parry that?
No, I can't do anything.
Do something, anything.
I have to come up.
Yeah, you can't.
It's weird.
So if you do that strishin, which we were talking about, that hand shot from underneath, normally I can roll this here and parry, right? So if I strishin here, the sword's on this side, right? I can easily parry here. But
if I do that and I strishin, I'd have to come like, I can't, I have to change my grip.
What about
rotate
a stab?
Like that.
With a thrust, right? If with a thrust I might not kill you, I can pull out and do this.
Yeah.
With that, can you do that? You stab me?
I stab you. No, I can't. Well, I can't even move, because if you want to do that, you want to wind to this side.
Yeah.
So but I can't do that because I'm in the way. So
So
it's
overall,
too unwieldy.
Again, overall, not a good sword. Double-bladed lightsaber, maybe.
This video was brought to you by me. There is no sponsor, and I kind of want to keep it that way. So if you guys like our content and you have the means to do so, please consider supporting us for $1 a month on Patreon. It really, really helps us out. And I'll see you next time.